LAW.com. This is our roll call for March the 20th, honoring fallen LAO officers, police officers. The first one we have is Police Officer Jake Reed, Joplin Police Department in Missouri. His end of watch was March 11th at age 27. Officer Reed was shot and killed after responding to, yes, another domestic call. Actually, this one was at a shopping center. While he and another officer attempted to take the subject into custody, the man opened fire on him, critically wounding both. The man then stole one of the officer's service weapons and a patrol car. He continued firing at pursuing officers until crashing the police cruiser. He was taken into custody, and wow, I mean, this guy just never stops. He took cover behind a van and opened fire on a third officer who was still inside of his cruiser, severely wounding him. Okay, so we have three officers shot at this point. The man continued shooting at other responding officers until being fatally wounded by return fire. Wow. Officer Reed had served with the Joplin Police Department for 5 years and survived by his wife. What an ordeal that was. They all are. Police Officer Caleb D. Ogilvie, Covington Division of the Police in Virginia. His end of watch was March 14th at age 35. And again, he was shot and killed while responding to a domestic disturbance call at a convenience store. The Covington Division of Police in Allegheny County Sheriff's Office, upon being alerted to the suspect's erratic behavior inside the store, immediately responded to the scene. Ogilvie and Allegheny County deputy arrived. The subject came out of the store armed with a pistol, opened fire on the officers. Ogilvie and the subject were shot fatally. Ogilvie shot the subject, fatally wounding him during the subsequent exchange of gunfire. And Officer Ogilvie was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, had served with the Covington Division of Police for less than a year, survived by his wife and 4 children. Wow. And then we move on to the third one, Deputy Sheriff Dominic Kalata, Pierce County Sheriff's Department, Washington, state of Washington. End of watch was March 16th at age 35. He was had succumbed to gunshot wounds sustained the previous day while they attempted to serve an arrest warrant. The SWAT team was assisting the South Sound Gang Task Force was serving the warrant. They were making entry into the subject's mobile home when the man opened fire on him. Kalata and a sergeant were both shot and wounded before the subject was killed by return fire. Kalata was a U.S. Army veteran and a Washington National Guard veteran. He had served with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department for 6.5 years, was assigned to the contracted Edgewood Police Department. He's survived by his wife and a 4-year-old child. And then lastly, Police Officer Lane Burns, Bonterra Police Department in Missouri. His end of watch was the 17th at age 30. And again, it's a domestic disturbance call. He was shot and killed as he and another officer responded to a disturbance call at a Motel 6. As the officers were approaching the motel room, a man exited, immediately opened fire on them with a handgun, and despite being wounded, both officers were able to return fire and neutralized the subject. Officer Burns had served with the police department for 5 years. He had previously served with the St. Francis County Sheriff's Office, survived by his 9-year-old daughter, 5-year-old son, and a fiance. I'll tell you, boy, domestic disturbance calls, gotta wonder. That's our roll call for this week. Our hearts and prayers and sympathies go out to their families and police units and the communities that they serve. I'm Don McDowell.